What's up, everybody? Today on the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast, we're talking about the word if. IF. It can be a positive, it could be a negative. If it's a negative in your life, we're going to do all we can today to make it be a positive in your life. Frame of Mind Inc. podcast starts right now. Get your mind right. Get your mind right.
It's a frame of mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. It's your boy Simbawi Nibaye Jr., aka TK, and my man Omar Williams. We call him O. Say what's up to the peeps.
What's going on, good people?
It is another lovely Wednesday, and y'all know how we do. We jump right in and get things started. But before we do, we are going to do our affirmations, get them in and out of the way like we normally do. And if you're catching the replay of this via audio, make sure you get your affirmations done, whatever day it is, whatever time of day it is. It could be morning, afternoon, or evening, or even in the middle of the night at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, whatever time it is, whatever day it is. Let's do it. Let's get it. Are you ready? Here we go. Today will be a good day. Today will be a great day. Today will be an amazing day. Today will be an awesome day. Today will be a phenomenal day. Today will be stress-free. Today will be a stress-less day. Today, I will overcome all barriers that want to block my progress. Today, all circumstances, issues, and situations will work in my favor. Today, all things will line up for my good. Today, I will become better than who and what I was yesterday. I am a go-getter. I am victorious. I am triumphant. I am an overcomer. I never lose. I either win or I learn. I take authority over this day. I will dominate this day. I will conquer this day. And everything I have spoken into this day will happen as I have affirmed, because I am more than a conqueror. Let's get it popping. So today we're talking about the word if. The word if. I-F. Two little small letters that have a whole lot to do with what goes on in your life. You may say, how does that happen? Well, we're going to talk about it right now, because if can be a negative and if can be a positive. So real briefly, let's talk about the word if and its definition real quick. And now, it's not a whole lot to the word if when it comes to definitions, but let's just give you some quick overview and insight of the word if. Number one, the word if can be used as a conjunction. And a conjunction brings two things together, two events, two sentences, two statements, even two questions possibly. So as a conjunction, the word if can be used in the event that, or in the event of, allowing something to happen or allowing that to happen, on the assumption that, or on the condition of. Others are even though, or although, or perhaps not even. On the contrary. Now, of course, these aren't necessarily, quote, definitions, but it gives you an idea of how the word if is used in a sentence, a statement, a question, or whatever you want to say. All right? For example, if you go to the store and get bread, you will be able to eat peanut butter and jelly. Okay? Therefore, the word if. I'm not going to give you any more examples because we all know how to use the word if and what it does when we speak. What we're going to talk about is how we use the word if negatively and how we can use the word if positively. All right? Now, as a noun, the word if can be used on a condition or a stipulation. Like the question, like depends on, too many ifs to allow for an answer. So someone, like, let's say for instance, real quick, at this world of sports, me and O, we love sports. So we always use that analogy, that example. Most people can kind of, give an example of sports to understand what we're talking about.
Right.
You may say, oh, well, let's look at, the Los Angeles Lakers, for example. And we say, well, if LeBron James is healthy, the Lakers will be a formidable team to play, to contend for a championship. That's an if clause.
Right.
Or you could say, well, if AD and Westbrook stay healthy, then the Lakers have a definite chance to go for a championship. But if not, then I don't know. They might make the playoffs, but they might not contend for a championship. But if LeBron James is hurt, they definitely have no chance. So there's too many ifs to allow for a concise answer. It's like there's too many things that we're talking about for it to be a concise answer. It's like either they're going to be contenders or not. Don't put too many if clauses in there to try and make it seem like we're going to try and drum it up, make it seem it's going to be something. So the word if you use it if there's too many of them, it's not really a concise, conclusive answer to any statement, question, or sentence you're putting out there to anyone. Okay? So one thing I do want to say is this is one of the phrases that we use on one of our T-shirts. We have, of course, you guys know I own an apparel company, Frame of Mind Inc., and we do apparel as well. We have our own brand of apparel as well as we do customization as well. But our own brand comes from our own online store, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But this is one of the shirts we have. So we're kind of taking some of our positive phrases and put them in the podcast to kind of help frame your mind to think a different, better way. And whenever you want to jump in, just let me know. All right. So the topic of the day is the word if. Small word, big possibilities. If used correctly. Notice I said the word if. If used correctly. All right. So let's look at some of the negative ways we use the word if. What if it doesn't go right? What if I fail?
Right.
What if they don't come? What if nobody shows up? What if it doesn't work? What if?
Right.
These are some of the negative ways we use the word if. And the funny thing is, we always revert to the negative before we do the positive. And I say this because the vast majority of us as human beings are just kind of either taught, learned that, or brought up that way. Don't get your hopes up too high.
Right.
If it doesn't work, cut that person off.
Right.
I'm just saying, because there's going to be a whole lot more. What if it doesn't work? What if they don't show up? That's going to keep hounding into your head. And you're going to have all these what if negatives always telling you, don't do it. It ain't going to work. They ain't going to show up. It's not going to work right. It's going to be yada, 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 yada.
Mm-hmm.
So take it for those of us who have learned how to not use these what ifs in negative ways, because all of us do it. And no matter how many what if positives you put out there, there's always going to be a what if negative, whether you think it, you say it, or you believe it. It's always going to be there. The question is, are you going to let that what if negative rule the what if positive? All right. Anything you got? Oh, we're going to keep moving.
No, let me add this to it. The word if a lot of times is used in programming. a lot of like people's modus operandi. Like if a like a company has procedure for emergency or a way to do things. So like with computer programming, it'll say if this, then that. If if it does this, I need you to do that. And like if is like our programming. So if we program our mind with the wrong ifs, right? It's like we're programming if it doesn't work. But you can also program if it does work. Just look at ourselves, our brains are like computers, man. So if what about the like if is like you said, small word, big possibility. So the way we use it in our programming is how we get what comes out of it. Like I said, a computer, we plug it in. If you hit this button here that looks like a left arrow, do that operation. And that's so we got to program our ifs to bigger ifs, bigger possibilities, bigger, different mind states, different mindsets. So when we use the if, it needs to always come with a positive spin on it. Never look at the negative side.
That's and the reason why we say small word, big possibilities, because the big possibilities, it could be a negative, it could be a positive. So it's probably in my dictionary is one of the strongest words you could ever use. It's only got 2 letters in it. If. So let's look at this to 2 things. So I'm at the end of my editing and publication parts of my book, and I know that I haven't talked about it too much here, but we're now in this stage of beginning to promote the book that I've written, and we'll talk about that more in the next podcast. But what if I chose not to write that book? Like, how many lives would not be affected because they were waiting for me to write my book? Like, people are waiting for you to do what it is you do because they've been assigned to you. Even you haven't met them yet. They're assigned to you. And if you choose not to do what you've been assigned to do, it doesn't just affect you. It affects everybody that's connected to you and everyone you're supposed to be affecting in their lives. Hope that makes sense to you.
It's a lot of sense.
So it's not just affecting you. It affects all who are connected to you. That means whether you're a father or a mother, it affects your children. It affects your spouse. It affects anyone else connected to you, whether you're in a circle, family, co-workers, those who work for you, work with you, anything. It affects everyone. Not only that, if that idea or that you have, and it's supposed to be something that really blows up and goes big, guess who else it affects? It affects everyone else who's going to help you promote it and help you continue to make money off of it. Because let's look at this. LeBron James, and I've always used this analogy, him, you could talk about Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Wayne Gretzky when he was back playing hockey, and all those guys, Tiger Woods. There are people who are connected to them that if they don't make no money, ain't nobody making money. And I'm not here to just harp on money. Well, I'm making an example because we all understand what money does and what its value is. So if when Tiger Woods wasn't playing golf, wasn't making money, guess what? His caddy wasn't getting paid.
Wow.
The guy that cooks his meals wasn't getting paid. He might have been getting paid, but he might have been working 7 days a week. He might have been working 4 days a week, maybe not 7. His publishers aren't getting paid. His promoters aren't getting paid. Like, the money stops after a certain degree because Tiger's not making money, which means now we're not making money, which now we can't do for Tiger what we used to do because Tiger decided he wanted to stop playing.
Wow.
Or he decided he wanted to do something that compromised his career and profession, and now it's not just affecting him, it's affecting everybody connected to him. That's just one example. So if you don't do what you're supposed to do and they're called to do, now retiring is a whole different story. Like that's a planned thing. Tiger decides to retire. It's in the plan. Michael Jordan decided to retire, then came back. I'm pretty sure a lot of folks were like, oh, he's back. Oh, I'm about to get paid again. You got other clients, but Michael Jordan is your top client. And once he decides to retire and move on, if he doesn't bring you along for the next phase, you got to find somewhere to make up for that money that Michael Jordan was bringing in for you.
Right.
So again, I'm not, out here pushing money. I'm just giving you an example. Is that whatever it is you're meant to do, if you don't do it, it affects other people's lives. Whether it's writing a book, whether it's doing a clothing brand, whether it's writing that song, whether it's taking that position at that job to be a more effective part of the puzzle. That's all I'm saying. All right, take a quick break. We'll come right back, and we're going to talk about the positive ways we can use the word if to have a more positive impact on our lives and the lives of others. Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. We'll be right back. Are you looking for an apparel company that's positive, uplifting, and truly cares about you? Then look no further. Frame of Mind Inc., an apparel brand company, impresses on individuals to think positive thoughts, say positive things, and do positive deeds. Get positive apparel such as t-shirts, hoodies, and wristbands for children, teens, and adults in various colors and sizes. Customized services include logo and t-shirt design, screen printing, and embroidery for individuals, families, schools, profit, and nonprofit organizations. You can reach Frame of Mind Inc. at 302-689-3499 or visit their website at www.frameofmindinc.com. Frame of Mind Inc. Think it, speak it, achieve it.
It's a frame of mind.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Before we left, we're talking about the word if and the negative ways we use the word if and how that negativity impacts not just us, but those who are connected to us. Just real quick before we move on, I want to just show you guys this real quick. So you guys know I own an apparel company and we sell, apparel pretty much. Just real quick, I'll show you guys real quick here. This is our t-shirt if that we have on our website. If, small word, big possibilities. And you have a variation of colors there you can also purchase. We also have this in a women's style, women's cut. So it's kind of like the women's style t-shirt that kind of hugs you and makes you look all sexy and stuff, if you want all that. So we also have the long sleeve and we also have a hoodie as well, or hoodies as well. So you guys can go to frameofmindinc.com. You guys can go and look at that, go cop that if you like to. But this is one of the things that we have here, so that way you can say, hey, look, we're doing positive mindset stuff. So we're not just talking about it, we're actually wearing it too. Now, of course, I don't have the shirt on with me right now, but we're wearing it all the time because we need to make sure that, they say you are what you eat to a large degree. You are what you wear too. If you're wearing certain things that aren't necessarily positive or just aren't just, general stuff. Like I have this nice plaid shirt on, but it has nothing on it that's, to me, quote unquote, is negative. But I have a shirt on that's, that says, I have a student of mine that she wears a shirt every week. She wears this shirt and it says, not today. It says, not today. And this is someone who I'm working with to work with her attitude. And I'm like, girl, you notice you do wear this shirt every week that says not today, which kind of, to a degree, it's changing your attitude.
Right.
And you're wearing what your attitude is saying that day. And look, I get it. But when you wear something else that doesn't say not today, you're a lot easier to talk to. You're a different person. So let's try and get some things on you that are a little more positive, which reminds me, I need to give her some of our stuff so she can wear some more positive stuff to get her mind right. Thank you, audience, for giving me that idea. Thank you so much. So listen, back to the word if from a positive perspective. Let's look at some of the positive ways we can use the word if, because we got to get our minds right. So we talked about the negative ways. Let's go about the positive ways. So The negative way, we said, well, what if it doesn't go right? The positive way is, well, what if it does?
Right.
Oh, what if I fail? Well, what
I
if you
don't?
succeed?
Right.
This is not rocket science, people. This is just literally straight up. You're flipping the script and the words. What if they don't come? What if they do come? Well, what if nobody shows up? What if everybody shows up?
Right.
Then what? What if it doesn't work? What if it does work?
Right.
I mean, let's look at Einstein. How many times did Einstein fail? A lot. But when it worked, he succeeded. We're still talking about him today because he succeeded that one time.
That's like the guy who created 409.
Exactly.
It's 409. What's that? Because on the 409th time it worked or something like
409th time it worked.
that.
That's a lot of failures before
Yeah.
you get the one that worked. I mean, listen, to a large degree, no one likes or loves failure, but you can embrace it when you understand what it does for you. I'll say that again. You can learn to embrace failure when you understand and know what it does to you and for you.
Mhm.
I personally do not like failure. I don't. But I also understand what it does to and for me. So I embrace it because there was a time when I didn't. I'm like, look, failure is not an option. When I realized that what failure did for me and did to me, I welcomed it. But I also wanted to learn from it too. I didn't want to just keep failing and not learning from it. You got to learn from it as well. And I also believe that the what if negatives are a lot bigger than you just thinking that what if it doesn't happen. The what if failures, it really come from, and some of y'all might get upset about this, and it's okay. This is why we're here. Your what if negatives really come from the fear of the fact that it actually might happen.
Ooh, that's good.
Because if it actually happens, you might not be ready for when it does.
That's good.
But when you're prepared for it, you start talking, well, what if they do come? What if it does succeed? What if everybody shows up? Because you're ready and prepared. When you're not prepared and ready for it, it scares the living daylights out of you. And you talk yourself out of doing it because you are afraid, because you're not prepared. Let that sink in for a minute.
That's good. That's good stuff.
It's like Kobe Bryant. I'll
Mhm.
say this. His first game in the NBA, he thought he was ready. He was the number one player in the nation in high school. He chose to skip college and go to the NBA. His first 4 shots he took in the NBA
Airball.
were air balls.
Yep.
And he got laughed at and ridiculed because here's this 17-year-old boy going on 18 years old. He hasn't even turned 18 yet. In the NBA, in a man's game, and his first 4 shots are air balls. He came off the bench. He wasn't a starter when he came to the NBA. He came off the bench. His first 4 shots were air balls. You know what Kobe Bryant did that night after the game was over? He knew the custodial staff, and what he asked was, can I come into the gym while you guys are cleaning? And Kobe Bryant stayed in that gym until the sun came up. What is Kobe Bryant's name to everybody in this world now, even though he's no longer here? That's called, I failed 4 times in a row. I embarrassed myself. I got to make this right. Didn't happen overnight, but he started and developed a mindset that would carry on for the rest of his career. There
And a
are
legacy.
times. No, go ahead. Oh,
Oh no, and just a legacy of what they call him. Like, so now he's carved out a mindset that's called the Mamba mentality,
right.
right? So it's like that mentality, just kids that don't even know him that are taking that mindset and shooting thousands of shots before they go in to eat dinner, or shooting thousands off of his 4 misses. You know what I'm saying? So him doing that and on, that mindset, man, to even shoot till the sun comes up.
Yeah.
Different.
And I'm gonna throw this in real quick. Jason Tatum, who plays for the Boston Celtics,
Tough.
he is the player he is today.
Yeah.
Because he studied under Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
In the beginning of this season, Boston looked horrible. And somehow, some way, they figured it out. And Jason Tatum became lights out. And if anyone watched that Bucks and Boston series, he is the reason that they won that series.
Yep.
Because he was a student of Mamba mentality.
Yep.
And I'm going to leave it right there. So your what ifs, they come from somewhere. And for most people, your what if negatives come from the fact that you're not prepared and you're afraid. Your what if positives come from you being prepared and knowing that when you think positive thoughts and say positive things, you will achieve them no matter what. That's all I got to say.
And that last statement you said is completely like what Jason you said. Well, you're not prepared, and what else you say? You said not prepared, and
when you're not prepared, you become fearful.
Right, and then it was
something else prepared.
Right,
then you're like, hey, let's go. We're ready to roll, and then you expect for the positive things to happen because you're prepared for it to happen. Right. When you're not, it's like a sabotage. It's people want to say, oh, it's the circumstances, it's my environment, it's this, it's my home life. And mind you, I'm not negating that. I'm not saying that those things aren't a factor. But what happens is that there are generational curses, mindsets, and what we're taught that aren't necessarily the right or correct way, and it's just a better way of doing it. And so what happens is we take on the mindset of others who they saw failure happen and they saw no way out of it, and they put it on you to say, well, the same thing's going to happen to you that happened to me. No, I don't think so. I may have to fight to get up out of here, but I'm going to keep fighting until I get up out, because I'm not going to let my what if negatives outdo my what if positives. How many people can we say that took their what if negatives and transformed them into what if positives and became something great, whether they were famous or not? You became something great in what you were created and sent here to do. Period. So if, small word, big possibilities. My acronym for the word if is this: initiating faith. Initiating faith. It's that simple. Because when you see it in your mind and you kind of see it happening, to a large degree, that's kind of how it's going to happen. If you put in your mind how it's going to happen in a negative way, more than likely that's how it's going to play out.
Right.
If you put in your mind it's going to happen in a positive way, if things are going to go well, it's likely how that's going to play out. One last thing before we go. And we talked about this on a podcast probably a year ago, maybe, possibly. There was two basketball teams. One basketball team, they were way more athletic. than the other basketball team. They clearly did not belong on the floor with them. Clearly. The team that was more athletic chose to use their athleticism to beat their opponent. The other team, the coach had them sit down and visualize the ball going in the basket. Sit down and visualize you taking that steal. Sit down and visualize you blocking that shot. Sit down and visualize you doing lockdown defense. Everything they sat and they visualized it and they meditated on it to say, this is how the game is going to play out. The team that used the visualization of what was going to happen is the team that won the game. Because they thought it, they meditated on it in a positive way, and it played out in their favor. The other team was more athletic than them, but they depended on their athleticism to win the game. The other team, they thought it, they spoke it, and they achieved it. Mm-hmm. Is it going to happen that way all the time? No, it's not. But more times than not, it will. More times than not, it will. We have to change the way we think. Mm-hmm. Change the way we think. So, it's the last thing, I promise. Last thing. Faith is described as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I'll say it again. Faith is described as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen in our English language. In the Hebrew, the word for faith is amanah. Do you know what amanah means? Amanah in the Hebrew means I believe in truth. Period. We translated that word amanah from the Hebrew into our English language as faith and said it's the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. Can be vague, but when you say I believe in truth, that's a little more concrete to me. A little more concrete. That's it. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna leave it right there. So again, next week, if you guys are looking at my social media stuff, you guys are gonna see the book that I've completed and that we are putting out towards the end of this month. That's the projected time. Next week, join us as we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit as well, and possibly look to give away some stuff. So you might want to tune in next week for the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. I'm gonna give you guys on a little head start secret. The book that I've written, my wife wrote a book some years ago. I am now writing the male version of her book. I'm going to give you a little hint, and then you got to stay tuned for the rest of that. All right. I'm writing the male version, and we're going to put it all together, and we're just going to bless some people. So tune in next week to hear more about that. If you're on my social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all that, Instagram throughout the week, check that out because we're going to start dropping not just hints, but letting you guys know what actually is coming. So you might get a jump on that. So you'll know when we come to the podcast next week, you already know what it is that's coming out and that's popping. All right. So for all of us here at the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast, continue to think it, speak it, and achieve it. And as always, until next time, I holla. Thank you for joining the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. And as always, here at Frame of Mind Inc., think positive thoughts, say positive things, and do positive deeds. As our tagline says, think it, speak it, achieve it. See you next time.
It's a frame of mind. It's what you say and what you do.
Don't forget to check us out on the web at www.frameofmindinc.com, where you can browse our online apparel store, listen to some of our original music and production services, as well as view our videos and projects we've done for our clients and customers.